Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's session of our K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series. Today's session is one of our K-12 Lunch and Learns, and today we will be focusing on the Moodlerooms Personalized Learning Designer. Just want to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Riley McClure. I'm one of our product marketing managers for our K-12 Teaching and Learning Solutions. Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series. Big shout out and thank you to my colleague Jenny Breister, another member of our K-12 marketing team. She'll be helping to track questions in the chat and answer any questions that you may have about today's session. And just wanted to also share that in our K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series, we're always looking for new topics and new presenters. So if you have a topic that you're interested in, or if you are interested in being a presenter, feel free to reach out to one or both of us and share that. And we're happy to help try and get you on our schedule as a presenter, or to find a presenter that can focus on your topic. Just wanted to also remind everybody that all of our K-12 BIT sessions are recorded, and we upload those to our playlist on our Blackboard YouTube channel. You can get a direct link to that playlist from the URL here up on the screen, and we will also go ahead and add that into the chat for you. New for this fall for the Innovative Teaching Series is our new professional learning community. We host this community on our new Blackboard community site, and this is really open to anybody with an interest in K-12 education, whether you're an administrator or a leader at the school level, or teacher, or or an online teacher, and so on. We encourage you to join. To introduce yourself and to take advantage of all the resources we have there. It's kind of a great place to see what's coming up on our BIT schedule, to find recordings and session materials from past sessions. We also post a lot of blended learning resources and instructional resources and things like that. For example, we had John Bergman present earlier this week, and he shared quite a few flipped learning resources that we've now posted on our community site. So the link to join is here up on the screen. We'll also add that in the chat. It is free to register and join, and we would encourage you to do so, and we hope to see you there. We've got some great sessions coming up. Next week, we will be taking Monday off. We know that's a holiday for many in the K-12 world. So we'll take a brief break Monday, and then we'll be back next Friday with another K-12 Lunch and Learn. Jeff Page, one of our Blackboard product experts, will be focusing on adaptive release and curriculum design. And then the following Monday the 19th, we've got a great session with two of our colleagues and clients from Make Home ISD. They'll be presenting Blend It with Blackboard, the Make Home 2020 model. And then finally, Friday, October 23rd, we've got another Lunch and Learn coming up. Miriam Brady will be focusing on using, creating, and taking advantage of groups in Blackboard Learn. So to move on to today's session, we're really excited to have Jason Don Forsyth with us. Jason is one of our Blackboard product experts and a K-12 solutions engineer, and really focuses on our Moodlerooms product, and has an extensive background working with Moodlerooms, I believe, for the past 6 years. I'm going to go ahead and let Jason introduce himself a little bit here in a second. But just wanted to, before I hand it off, did want to remind everybody, kind of what are these Lunch and Learns about? These are really open sessions. Jason's going to focus on for the next 20 or so. So If you have any other questions about teaching and learning products or applications, use cases, this is a great forum.
Hi, folks. It looks like I think Riley might have had a little bit of trouble, so he was just about to hand it off to me anyway, so I will pick up the football and start running. My name is Jason Don Forsyth. I am a K-12 solutions engineer from Blackboard, and Riley is right. I've had about 6 years of experience with Moodlerooms, and I've had about 5 years of experience before that self-hosted. I've also used Blackboard Learn a lot as well as other LMSs. So my background a little bit is I came to Blackboard from the North Carolina Virtual Public School, which is the second largest virtual public school in the country. We did about 60,000 enrollments, had about 1,000 teachers teaching. We did this entirely inside of Moodlerooms and Learn. So I did that for several years. So I have a lot of use case experience in terms of how to construct online learning. And during the course of this, please feel free to raise your hand, ask a question. Also, you can put them in the chat, and we'll check the chat periodically. So, what are we going to be going over today? We're going to go over the personalized learning designer and look at how it can be used to differentiate instruction and also speed up interventions. And the third thing is also trying to make your life easier as teachers. So we're going to focus on all three of those objects. So just to give you an idea, this is what it kind of looks like, and it's designed to reach those students with different needs and personalize it based on actions that they take. So what is the personalized learning designer? So it's a tool in Moodlerooms, and it automatically carries out actions based on identified triggers. Now that probably didn't help you very much to figure out what personalized learning is, but I think as we walk through it and go through the menus, it'll become much more evident. And it's really designed to create that synchronous integration in an asynchronous environment. And what I mean by that is that the personalized learning designer is sitting there watching your course while you're sleeping. If someone's taking a test at 2 in the morning, the personalized learning designer is going to launch a rule if that student triggers something. So you want to think of it as a virtual teaching assistant, basically someone who's always in your online course helping you out, trying to stay on top of things. So how does the personalized learning designer work? Well, it's basically a set of logic rules. And these rules comprise of 3 parts. There's the event, what happened in the environment. There's the condition, which is the degree to which that action happened. And then there's the action. What are we going to do now that this event and action has occurred? So you have those 3 different parts that really set up the personalized learning designer. But I think it's probably going to be easier if we go ahead and just take a look at the personalized learning designer. So what I'm going to do is share my screen right now. Let's bring it over here. All right. Now, just a reminder to everyone, you can double click that image in your screen and it will get bigger. So if you want to make the image while you're following along larger, just double click on it. So we're sitting here. This is my Moodleroom server. It's got the Snap theme on it, which is a nice responsive design theme. Makes it easier for you to put a lot of information there on the top level. But I want to go in and take a look at a specific course. So we're going to take a look at English 1 as the example, and I've set up some rules in here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through it as a teacher, look at these rules, and then we're going to go through as a student and see what happens when we trigger all of this. So as I come down, this is a standard course. It's got a syllabus, meet the instructor. It's got a pre-test for when people first start the course. And then it's got these 3 reading groups. And this is what we're going to focus on for the example. So it's very common in a course to come in, take a pre-test, and then be kind of put on a reading track or on a work track based on that assessment. So inside of an online learning environment, you can do this all by hand. You could have all of your students take the English pretest, and then you could look at all of the attempts. Then you could separate them into groups by their grades, and then you could manually create groups and then assign those students to those groups. But that takes a long time. As a teacher, I want something to help me do this quicker. So wouldn't it be great if they could take the pretest and then automatically be assigned to their group? Well, you can, and you can do it with the personalized learning designer. So we're going to take a look at the PLD now. One of the things that I always want to say is the PLD is very powerful on its own, but when you start mixing it with other tools, like the ability to group students, it gets even more powerful. So let's take a look. So I'm in the personalized learning designer, and I've got this set of rules for my class. Let's take a look at one of the most basic rules that you can have, which is a welcome rule. So with this rule, the event is the course is entered. The condition is the user is a student. And then what you're going to do is you're going to display an alert. And it says, welcome, student first name, student last name. It's going to pull those values from that student user account, personalizing the message. And it says, welcome to English 1. You must read the syllabus before you start on your course content. Contact me if you have any questions. So that's going to run when they come in as a student. But I told them that they had to read the syllabus. So I've got a rule up here that says must read syllabus. And this is a slightly more complex rule. And what this is it says if there's any viewing of a forum and the syllabus has not been completed, meaning that the syllabus as a student, first thing it's going to do is it's going to say, dear student first name, welcome to English 1. You must read the syllabus before continuing, and then it's going to reroute them to the syllabus. So you're forcing them to go read that syllabus, making sure that they've taken a look at it. And then finally, we're going to go with what is our most complex rule in this course currently, and that's those reading groups. So we've got 3 rules here. We've got pretest move to advanced reading group, pretest move to at-risk reading group, and pretest move to median reading. All 3 of these rules, the event is completing that English pretest. With the advanced group, what it is 85 and above student, and you're going to get, hey, you did a great job. Here, you're going to go to this group, and it reroutes them to that reading group. For at-risk, it's less than a 65, greater than a 0%. So they did really bad, and they're a student. This is going to have a different alert. It's going to say, hi, student, please my virtual office hours to talk about your test. You got this test. So the teacher wants to have some more interaction based on this poor performance. And then you've got the median group, which is in between 65 and 85. And they'll get assigned to reading group B. Now, the nice thing about what we've set it up is when they're in a single group, they won't see the other content. So as a student, you won't see, in your reading group B, you won't see C and A. You'll only see the reading group that you're assigned to. So setting it up here and then leveraging those groups like I talked about. Grouping is a very important part of combining with the personalized learning designer to be able to create those pathways, some way of putting folks in a group to create the pathway in order to differentiate. So let's take a look at how this would work as a student. So again, coming down here one last time, this does say not available unless you belong to group A, hidden otherwise. So I'm going to log out as me now that we've seen how the course is set up. And I will log in as a student. So I'm a student on my first day. I have an English 1 virtual course. So I'll go up here, take a look. I know I got a deadline here, so I got to go take a pretest. Click on my course. Personalized Learning Designer fires because I'm a student and I've entered the course. It's telling me that I must read that syllabus before and contact questions. The thing I like about Personalized Learning Designer announcements is, look, I can't interact with the course until I acknowledge that announcement. I can't click on anything. So that means that I don't have the ability, I must acknowledge this announcement. So then we have the syllabus, and you can read it. And then coming down here, you've got that English pretest. So we're going to take a look at the English pretest, and we're going to try and attempt it. actually, I want to make sure that you noticed, as I come in as the student, I can't see any of those reading groups. They aren't all hidden to me, so they're all gone. Just wanted to make sure that we were clear about that. So I take the English pretest. Yes, I will start my attempt. That's false. I'm going to do very poorly on this test for a reason, and we'll say that's true. So I finish my test. I submit all. And once I submit it, it's going to say, hi, Kai, please come to my virtual office hours to talk about your test. You got a 0 on your English pretest. You will now be assigned to your reading group so you can select what books you would like to read for the Module 1 paper. Again, have to acknowledge it. And when I hit close, it's redirecting me to my reading group. Okay, and now it says, please select 2 of the following books to read. And the nice thing is the other students can't see this. And if you want to not make it A, B, and C for your reading group, if you want to use a color so people don't feel like you're, in the lower group, you can do that as well. But then as a student, when I come back out to the top level, because I've been assigned to Group C, I now see that reading Group C. It's appearing for me, so I can check my books that I'm going to read for the semester. So that's really a kind of an advanced way of taking students, having a single assessment, and then putting them down different pathways. One of the things that I will always advise, though, is that I feel it's better to use the personalized learning designer to create content pathways. When you start creating assessment pathways where you have different tests for different people, you can run into an issue with making the gradebook somewhat confusing for teachers. So I really promote the personalized learning designer as kind of reinforcement, encouragement, and content focused in terms of the pathways. You always, like with this, you have 3 separate reading groups, but they're all coming back together to have, module 1 paper. So they might be in a different group reading a different book, but they're all going to take that same assessment. So it stays in my grade book, something that's not overly confusing. Now, another thing that we were talking about is encouragement rules. So if I've got supplemental reading here and a student decides that they're going to start reading the supplemental content, you can click on it and you can set something just for viewing a single page. And this says, hey, Kai, great job on putting forth extra effort in reading this supplemental content on adjectives. It'll help out a great deal when you write your paper. So you can give people that encouragement. So it really allows you to create that interaction. And with that assignment to reading groups, I often see that as creating the intervention immediately. That's one of the problems that you have in online learning, is that when you create intervention, oftentimes there's a lot of dead space. And what I mean by that, a student takes a test on a Monday, the teacher sees it on a Tuesday, finds out the student's doing poorly, emails them, the student that email on a Wednesday, acknowledges it, the teacher sends out remedial content on that Wednesday, and the students start going through it probably on the Wednesday, Thursday. So the test has happened on a Monday, and we haven't had a proper intervention all the way till Thursday. That's a lot of time. So using the personalized learning designer, you can shut down those interventions to almost immediate when you start being able to have that remedial content and just reroute the students to it as that really starts becoming powerful. It also starts helping you be more efficient. You're letting the PLD do a lot of the heavy lifting, and you're not doing it yourself. So I do want to take one more look kind of at how you build a rule, just a very, very quick look, and then we can open things up to questions. So I'm going to go in and build a simple rule inside of Personalized Learning Designer. We'll go down to the course tools, the PLD. So let's build another welcome rule. So you can add a rule. Rules all must have they all have to have a name. So with the event, you have a lot of triggers here. Activity completed, graded, viewed. That's how I did the supplemental reading one. Quiz or assignment submitted, forum reply or a forum topic post, and then added to a group. So again, that grouping, very, very important. Also, course grade change. That's a really important one. You can have it so when your course grade change goes to under 70%, it can fire off an email saying, hey, you are struggling, I need to talk to you. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use it. So in this case, we're going to use course entered. I'm going to add that event, and then I'm going to move on to a condition. So with the condition, you've got a lot of, you don't have to have a condition, but oftentimes you will. And these are the degree to which things happen. So you're talking about activity grade range, course grade range, date checks. Right now, I'm going to make sure that this only fires for students because I don't want to have acknowledge a message every single time I come in as a teacher. Those are my messages. So we're going to check the user's role. And then they're going to say the triggering user is a student. So now this rule is only going to happen when a student comes in. Then I come to actions. So we've got display alert, which is doing that pop-up. We've got send an email, which you can send an email, then CC yourself and the student. And then you can also reroute them to an activity or a URL. And then you've got release codes. So if you're putting content behind codes, you can. And then you can also add a user to a group and remove a user from a group. This is nice to set up rules when you have different pathways and people might be going between groups. Say someone moves from one reading group to another. You can have a rule that says, you know, if they get over an 80% on this, remove them from group C and add them to group B. So you can automate that as well. So in this case, we're just going to want to display an alert. And so hi there. And then you've got this insert tokens. And insert tokens is a way of grabbing information from the system. So user tokens have to do with things on their user profile. Course tokens have to do with things on your course. Activities are obviously the individual activities. And then grade tokens in terms of what grades they're getting. And then course grades. So for this, we're going to say, hi there, student first name. And then you can say, welcome back. Your grade is a, and we're going to grab their grade, their course grade right here. So grade percent overall activity in, and we're going to put the name of the course in. And then that's going to be our message that we send. And that is, again, the easiest possible message that you can do. And another thing that's nice about these is that you can take, like with a rule that I made about the differentiation of reading groups, you can copy a rule. I created this rule once, I copied it twice, and then I just changed the values here on the test and changed what group and reading group. Made it a little bit easier for me. But I can also do things like after everyone's, you know, maybe I don't want all of these welcome rules firing right now. I can disable them and re-enable them as I want. The other really, really nice part about the personalized learning designer is that these rules are copyable between courses. So what I mean by that is if you have someone who is a crackerjack at personalized learning designer, has spent a lot of time in there, created very complex interactions that really make the course more engaging, you can copy those PLD rules from their course into your course, or you could copy them into, say, a master course. And then when everybody got their copy of a section, they would get a copy of all those tools. And that gives a teacher like a virtual toolkit to start off with. They've got all of these rules pre-created for their course. So it's a really powerful tool. Usually people start with the welcome messages, then they start doing the encouragement messages, then they'll do encouragement messages based on grades, and then the final thing is that they'll start actually differentiating their content by using grouping and then putting different students in different groups based on their interactions inside the course. So I've seen people use this to a great deal. Probably the biggest course I've seen has had like 100 rules in it, and they govern pretty much everything. But this was a year-long course with 35 kids in it. So you're talking about a lot of work for the teacher, and using the PLD saved that teacher a lot of busy work and also just a lot of assigning people, which is, you know, can be long and tedious for teachers to do, especially if they've got a lot of students or multiple courses. So that's pretty much the personalized learning designer in a nutshell. I think I'll pause now to see if we've got any questions that around functionality. And again, feel free to ask questions about anything here. I do know a tremendous amount about Moodle and also learn, so the floor is open for questions.
Hey, Jason, this is Riley. Sorry, apologies
Hello.
for getting kicked out of the room before. I had some internet connection issues. Um,
Not a problem.
I guess I'll go ahead and lead us off with a question. I got kicked out, so I didn't really hear where you picked up, but maybe it would be helpful if you just you could explain a little bit about what Moodlerooms is and how it fits into the Blackboard teaching and learning solution portfolio.
Sure, yeah. So Blackboard acquired Moodle a while ago, and this was really for two reasons. One is that Blackboard wants to support the open source community, and the open source community predominantly is uses Moodle internationally. And the second reason is kind of tied to the first one, is that Moodle is the most widely used LMS on the planet. So it made sense to both support the open source community and also become a provider and partner in that open source community with the acquisition of Moodlerooms. So what you want to think about with Moodlerooms and how I think about it is think about Moodle in different flavors. So self-hosted is like vanilla ice cream. And then if you do managed hosting with a small company, it's like vanilla ice cream with a little chocolate sauce. And then you start, if you sign on with Moodlerooms, there's so much added to it. It's like a giant banana split. I mean, with the crushed nuts and whipped cream and bananas and everything. There are proprietary add-ons that we have done with Moodlerooms to really make it into the best version of Moodle out there. And the other thing is that we've listened to the Moodle community. So things like grading, things like quiz building, these have all been enhanced by the use of our proprietary tools that we've added on, like the Joule grading system, the personalized learning designer that you can't get anywhere else. So these are all value adds. And also, of course, integration with the tool that we're using to meet right now, Collaborate. That's huge. We've also built out SIS integration framework into Moodle. If you've tried to do interactions with your SIS and your self-hosted Moodle, it's a nightmare to set up. So we've created Conduit, which streamlines that process and makes it easier for you to get that information going back and forth between your SIS and your LMS. So there are a lot of things, and of course, the appearance. I would say this version of Moodle with this responsive design theme is probably the most attractive version of Moodle out on the market. Again, we've also added a dashboard in here so you can get top-level information. This is much different from Moodlerooms. You can see deadlines, messages, all at the top level. So it really makes it easier for you to stay on top of your classes. And then once you come down into the course, we've redesigned it to be mobile friendly. You can see these targets are big, they're easy to differentiate, and they're easy to figure out which one is which. That means that no matter if you're on a big monitor like you see me on now, or if you're on a tablet or a smartphone, you're going to get that same user experience because this is entirely built on responsive design. So those are just a couple of those things that's really different about Moodle and self-hosted Moodle, if you're thinking about the differences between the two. Good question, though. More questions.
I guess here's a question for the group. It looks like we've got four people joining us today. Can each of you raise your hand using the raise your hand icon and tell us if you've used Moodle or Moodle in the past or if you're using it today? Great. So I see Carolyn. Joe, Peggy, Wesley, what is your past experience with Moodle or Moodle rooms? Great, Joe. We are obviously big fans of Learn as well as our other learning management solution. Great, Carolyn. 9 years. Wow. So we should have just had you give this presentation then. And all we're a pretty small group here, so please feel free to turn on your microphones and chime in.
Jason, maybe you can pick up on Joe's question about the PLD feature.
Oh, was there anything we didn't cover, Joe, over the PLD over the last 20 minutes? I can certainly dive back in there if there's anything we didn't get down to the bottom of.
No, it was very good. I guess the one question is, with Blackboard, the only other parity feature would be maybe adaptive release, but I don't think it is that as can be that detailed as far as what I saw with the professional learning plan or designer.
Yeah, so Blackboard, it's interesting. So Blackboard has they both got adaptive release, and Blackboard has something in the adaptive release that Moodlerooms does not. It seems like the most minuscule of things, but it's actually rather huge. So in Moodlerooms, when you do adaptive release rules, you can have what I call dependent rules, and that means if A happens and B happens and C happens, then do something. They have to complete all three aspects of it. In Blackboard Learn, you've got that option for or. So you can say if A happens or B happens or C happens, then do something. Now, adding the ability to add or doesn't seem like much, but if you do any programming, those Boolean operators are the foundations of logic. So being able to do that inside of Blackboard Learn gives you a distinct advantage in terms of straight adaptive release. But in terms of like doing personalized learning design, like we saw with the alerts and the sorting, it doesn't have anything like that currently. But the OR ability in the adaptive release is very, very powerful. I know of clients that have not been able to migrate off of Learn because of that feature and functionality that doesn't exist anywhere. That's a but yes, you are right. Nothing certainly like the personalization it exists currently inside of Learn. Yeah, it was a big thing to figure out, especially for your your credit recovery models where you have a mastery test, and then if they get the mastery test right, they skip all the way down to the next unit. But if they get it wrong, they have to work through the content. Well, at that that end of the chapter content, you either have to have a rule that says either they got 100 on the pretest or they went through and did all of this and got 100 on the post-test to unlock unit 2. So for for credit recovery models and things like that, Learn is a very, very good tool to use. More questions though. These are good ones. And I also wanted to just state that if you are using Moodle, you have the ability to move to this theme. This is the only theme currently that is built off responsive design for Moodlerooms. So you can see as I tighten it up here, everything's going to shrink down and go to a single column. So this is a very, very appealing theme in my opinion in terms of comparisons to some of the other ones like Express or Yeah, it is it is a very clean theme, and really the foundation of this theme was based off of mobile devices. They wanted this to look great on on a mobile phone, and then they built backwards from there. So you've got it great on a mobile phone, iPad, all the way up to this 30-inch monitor that we're looking at right now. But yeah, I definitely I've not had too many people who look at this version of Moodle and say, "Well, man, that's an eyesore." So definitely something you might want to think about if you are currently using Moodlerooms, but maybe not leveraging this theme. More questions?
Jason, did you mention that? So this is the Snap theme.
Yeah, this is the theme that comes with all Moodle servers. You can change your themes through system administration. You can go right here to system administration, appearance, themes, theme selector, and this will let you change the themes between them. I would definitely say that you want to put out some professional development or heads up ahead of time. I don't think you would want to switch on something like this without preparing your student and teacher body, because it is, it looks much different from the, classic version of Moodle. So definitely want to give them a chance to take a look at it. I wouldn't just flip it on mid-semester.
Any additional questions? And remember, either about the personalized learning designer or Moodle Rooms, or if you're using another Blackboard product, Blackboard Collaborate, Blackboard Learn, or even Moodle, feel free to type your questions in the chat or turn on your mic and ask away. So Jason, Carolyn in the chat asked, we find our site loads very slowly and teachers complain all the time about it. Any tips to help speed the page loads up? And Carolyn, I do just need to ask, do you know if you are using an instance of self-hosted Moodle, or are you using Moodle Rooms? Okay, thanks. It says hosted by Moodle Rooms, Jason.
Yeah, so I think I know. Let me ask a follow-up question here. Do you use a lot of videos and pictures in these courses that load slowly? A lot of multimedia in that course? Yeah, so what happens really inside of Moodle is it is a CSS trick in that when you've clicked on one right here, it's still rendering all of the other ones on the page. So even if one of these topics is not showing, it's rendering, and that's where you get into this problem. So at NCVPS where I worked, we had Art History 1 as a year-long course, and they loaded 350 videos or something onto the course that were at the top level. And what that meant was anytime anyone clicked on that link, every single one of those videos would try and render and embed, and it would load and load and load until it rendered all of those. And in addition to that, they had a lot of images of famous pieces of art at the top level. And it was, overwhelming in that it would be loading 300 videos and 400 images, which is a lot. And it would strain, we had a media server at this time. And so as all the students are clicking on the pages, the media server is trying to serve thousands of videos at once. So what we did is we pushed things. Okay, videos not embedded. But we made a concerted effort to push things off of the top level, so that we weren't having a ton of pictures or videos or MP3s that were all spooling up when someone clicked on the top level of the course. So if they've got hyperlinks to them, those wouldn't really count as video. Sometimes Moodle will try and automatically render it if you just put a hyperlink. I don't know if you've turned that off or not, but sometimes, depending on the format of the video, it will try and embed it even if you just put the hyperlink in. But you definitely want, whenever there's a problem with course pages loading, that would be something that I would look about, making sure you don't have too much information or too many media objects loading at the top of, on each section. And also, my other question, are these courses, do they get a new one every single semester, or are they reusing a course over and over and over again? No, reused? Okay. And there could be something in there, depending on reusing them. If they haven't deleted out everything, you can start to get, it depends on how long they've been using it, but if someone's been using the course for 3 or 4 years, there could be things in there that weren't deleted entirely. So it really depends on what the course looks like and what's loaded at the top level. But a great question, though. It caused us many sleepless nights at NCVPS.
Okay, any additional questions for Jason?
I was just going to mention that Carolyn just joined us, our second Carolyn, and it's kind of just an open forum. Carolyn, if you have any questions for Jason, who's just kind of our resident expert about everything Moodlerooms Learn, so feel free to chime in.
No problem. My pleasure. I always like showing off parts of the Moodle Room solution.
All right, well, I'm going to do one last call for questions here. If you have anything for Jason. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead, and we said earlier we'd put the links in the chat to some of the resources we have available. I just went ahead and I put the link to our video playlist on YouTube for all of these sessions. Feel free to go there, check them out. We've got a lot of great sessions that we've done over the last few weeks, as well as in past semesters. And then also putting in a link now for our new Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series professional learning community. Free to join. Would definitely encourage you to check it out if you haven't. I know I think I've seen Carolyn on there. Not sure about others, but we'd encourage you to join. It's got all of our videos and session materials. It's a place for if you think of a question and that you didn't ask in this session, and you don't want to wait till next week. Feel free to ask away there, and we've got product experts that can answer, as well as other community members. So it's a great place to interact with other educators like yourself who are facing some of the same challenges. All right. So I think if there's no questions, then that will do it for today. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. And if you think of any questions after we hop off here, feel free to reach out to me. You can either reach out to me on Twitter or directly via email. And I or one of my colleagues will do our best to answer your inquiry. And also, if you have any feedback on our innovative teaching series or suggestions for topics or presenters, we'd love to hear it. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And also, big thanks to Jason and Jenny for joining us today and helping us put this on. All right, thank you all. Have a great weekend.